Let me ask you something real. When did climbing the stairs start to feel like a full-body workout? When did getting out of a chair require strategy? It's not just aging. It's your muscles waving a white flag and your bones whispering they're not okay. But here's the twist. Your body hasn't given up. It's waiting for you to feed it right. And no, we're not talking expensive pills, powders, or mystery shakes. We're talking real foods, whole ingredients, things your grandmother probably had in her pantry. But science is now catching up to why they actually work. In this video, we're breaking down 7 ridiculously underrated foods that rebuild muscle, strengthen bones, and dial back stiffness, even if you're pushing 70, 80, or beyond. Backed by peer-reviewed research, explained with clarity, and best of all, simple to start today. Stick with me, because the last 2 on this list, they're going to flip what you thought you knew about aging. Here's the deal. After age 50, your body begins a quiet shift. Muscle mass. You start losing it about 1–2% every year. Bone density. It declines faster than most people realize, especially for women post-menopause. This isn't fear-mongering, it's just biology. But what most people get wrong is this. They assume that decline is irreversible, that it's normal to feel weak, to slow down, to live with stiff joints or back pain. It's not. The truth. Your body can rebuild if you give it the raw materials. And no, not synthetic supplements. Real nutrients in real foods. Nutrients that trigger your body to rebuild tissue, regenerate joint lining, rebalance hormones, and reactivate muscle memory. What you'll get in this video isn't fluff. We'll walk through 7 powerful, overlooked superfoods that work like nutritional blueprints for a stronger, steadier, pain-free body. All based on clinical research and biochemistry, not internet trends. Plus, you'll learn how to use them the right way. Because even the best food can lose its power if you mix it wrong, cook it wrong, or time it wrong. We'll fix that too. So whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or just thinking ahead, you're in the right place. Ready to take back control? Let's dive in. 1. Black lentils, the muscle whisperer. Black lentils don't look like much, but biochemically, they're one of the few plant-based foods that can actually compete with meat in terms of muscle regeneration. Why they matter? Black lentils are rich in complete protein. They contain all 9 essential amino acids needed for muscle repair. That's rare for plants. Most legumes like chickpeas or kidney beans fall short on at least 1 critical amino acid, not black lentils. They also carry a powerful combo of iron, zinc, and folate, which support red blood cell production, oxygen delivery to muscles, and DNA repair. 3 essential factors that influence how fast you recover after physical activity, even something as simple as walking or standing. Aging bodies naturally lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia. And while many people rush to protein powders or meat-heavy diets to combat it, lentils offer a gentler, more digestible alternative that doesn't spike cholesterol or burden the kidneys. Compared to other foods, red meat gives you protein, but often at the cost of inflammation, especially if processed or overcooked. Soy is complete protein too, but contains phytoestrogens that may affect hormone-sensitive individuals. Quinoa is often praised, but has half the iron and fiber lentils do, and lacks the zinc density needed for true muscular recovery. Black lentils hit the sweet spot. High protein, high mineral density, and 0 hormonal interference. Common mistake. People eat lentils thinking they're healthy carbs, then drown them in sauces, eat them with bread, or skip them entirely because they think plants can't build muscle. That's outdated thinking. The real issue. Many don't realize your body's ability to use protein isn't just about the quantity. It's about the quality of the aminos and what rides along with them. Black lentils bring not just protein, but the exact cofactors your body needs to rebuild tissue. So while others are throwing money at powders or frozen chicken breasts, black lentils quietly outperform them, all while protecting your heart and gut in the process. 2. Black sesame seeds, the bone guardian. If your bones had a wish list, black sesame seeds would be near the top. They're small, overlooked, and absolutely packed with the raw materials your body craves to stop bone loss in its tracks. The science behind it. Black sesame seeds are one of the richest plant-based sources of calcium, often delivering more per gram than dairy, without the bloating, inflammation, or hormone issues that come with milk or cheese. But what really sets them apart? Their mineral synergy. They offer magnesium for bone matrix formation, phosphorus for bone rigidity, zinc and copper for collagen maintenance and joint flexibility, lignans, potent antioxidants that reduce bone-inflaming free radicals. All of these act in concert to slow down age-related bone thinning and support healthier, more resilient joints. Compared to other calcium sources, milk contains calcium but lacks magnesium and vitamin K2, which are both required to move that calcium into your bones, not your arteries. Spinach has calcium but also high oxalates, which block its absorption. Almonds are popular but offer half the usable calcium and lack lignans entirely. Sesame seeds, especially black ones, are low oxalate, high absorption, and inflammation fighting, a rare triple threat in bone nutrition. Common mistake. Most people eat sesame seeds whole and think they're getting the full benefit. They're not. Here's the truth. Your digestive system can't fully break down whole sesame seeds. That means much of the calcium, magnesium, and other critical minerals pass through unused. Another mistake. Comparing sesame to trendy supplements and assuming it's outdated. In reality, it's one of the few foods that naturally contains the building blocks for both bone and cartilage repair, something collagen powders can't fully provide on their own. Black sesame isn't old school. It's elite-level nutrition hiding in plain sight. 3. Spirulina, the underrated recovery engine. At first glance, spirulina looks like pond scum, but under a microscope, and more importantly, under a lab report, it's one of the most complete, efficient, and recovery-friendly proteins available on Earth. Why it works? Spirulina is a blue-green algae with up to 65% complete protein by weight, and a digestibility score that beats most meats and powders. But it's not just protein that makes it a muscle recovery powerhouse. It's packed with phycocyanin, an anti-inflammatory compound shown to reduce oxidative stress in aging muscles, iron for oxygen transport and energy production, B vitamins, especially B12 analogs, critical for nerve repair and muscular coordination, gammalinolenic acid, a rare omega-6 that reduces joint inflammation without promoting stiffness. In short, spirulina feeds your cells what they need to rebuild, not just repair. Compared to typical recovery foods, whey protein offers aminos, but no anti-inflammatory compounds, no chlorophyll, and no essential fatty acids. Chicken breast contains protein, but zero antioxidants and zero magnesium. Pea protein powders, often incomplete and stripped of micronutrients in processing. Spirulina delivers protein, minerals, and anti-inflammatories in one, without cooking, blending, or any digestive strain. What most people get wrong? They treat spirulina like a vitamin booster, or worse, ignore it because it's too green. That's a big miss. The biggest mistake, underestimating its therapeutic dose. A tiny sprinkle won't do much. Clinical studies show benefits start around 2 to 4 grams per day, roughly a teaspoon. Anything less is just decoration. Another error. using spirulina only for detox. While it does support detoxification, it's far more valuable as a daily recovery fuel, especially for older adults managing muscle fatigue, joint soreness, or post-workout lag. In terms of nutrient density per gram, spirulina beats meat, dairy, grains, and most vegetables combined. When it comes to aging joints, protein alone won't save you. You need the right kind of fats, the right minerals, and amino acids that actually support joint architecture. That's where hemp seeds crush the competition. What makes hemp seeds unique? Hemp seeds are one of the few plant-based sources of complete protein, but what gives them real edge is their perfect 3:1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. That's the ratio your body is naturally designed to use for anti-inflammatory repair. They're also rich in arginine, an amino acid that boosts nitric oxide production, improving blood flow to joints. Magnesium, critical for muscle relaxation and preventing cramps. Zinc and iron, essential for collagen synthesis and oxygen transport. Edesin and albumin, ultra-bioavailable proteins that are easy to absorb, even with sluggish digestion. Hemp seeds don't just help maintain muscle, they also improve the connective tissue web that stabilizes joints and tendons. How they compare? Chia seeds get a lot of hype for omega-3s, but they're incomplete protein and can cause bloating if not soaked. Flaxseed is great for fiber but lacks key aminos like lysine and methionine. Fish oil gives omega-3s, but no protein, no minerals, and requires careful sourcing to avoid mercury. Hemp seeds bring it all. Fat plus protein plus minerals in one highly absorbable seed. The common misconceptions. Some people still confuse hemp seeds with THC or think they're off limits. That's outdated and flat out wrong. Hemp seeds contain 0 psychoactive compounds, no THC, no CBD, just raw nutrition your body knows exactly how to use. Another big mistake, assuming plant protein is always inferior. While that's often true, hemp seeds are the exception. Unlike many legumes or grains, their amino acid profile rivals that of eggs and whey without the allergens or cholesterol. If you're looking to rebuild muscle and support your joints at the same time, hemp seeds are a surgical strike. Clean, complete, and criminally underrated. 5. Natto, the silent bone builder. It's sticky, stringy, and smells like aged socks, but it might just be the most powerful bone-protective food you've never heard of. That food is natto, a traditional Japanese dish made from fermented soybeans. But don't let the funky texture fool you. Natto contains something virtually no other food on earth can match in potency. Vitamin K2 in MK7 form. This nutrient tells your body where to put calcium, not in your arteries, where it can cause stiffness and heart disease, but into your bones, where it belongs. Without enough K2, you could be taking all the calcium and vitamin D in the world and still ending up with brittle bones and clogged arteries. In addition to MK7, natto contains nattokinase, an enzyme that improves blood flow and reduces clot risk. Isoflavones, plant compounds that mimic estrogen gently, helping postmenopausal women preserve bone density. Bacillus subtilis, the fermentation bacteria that enhances nutrient bioavailability far beyond that of unfermented soy. Compared to other sources, cheese, especially Gouda or Brie, does contain K2, but in lower MK4 form, which doesn't stay in your system as long. Leafy greens provide vitamin K1, not K2, and K1 does not play the same role in calcium regulation. Calcium supplements, they're just raw material. Without K2, it's like dumping bricks at a construction site with no builders. Natto offers the builders. Common mistakes people make: People hear fermented soy and panic. They think all soy is bad. They think natto is too weird. Or they think their calcium supplement is enough. Truth is, fermented soy neutralizes most anti-nutrients present in regular soy. Natto is clinically backed. A long-term Japanese study linked regular natto intake with significantly reduced rates of hip fractures in older women. And most importantly, calcium without K2 is a half-finished equation. Natto doesn't just preserve bone. It tells your body how to use calcium wisely, so it builds stronger bones and keeps your arteries clean at the same time. 6. Sardine bone powder, the forgotten calcium superfood. Most people think of sardines as old-school fish in a can, but hidden in those tiny bones is one of the most complete, absorbable sources of calcium your body can get, without the risks tied to supplements. Why it works? The bones in sardines, when pressure cooked and powdered, deliver whole food calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium in a naturally balanced ratio, just like your own skeletal structure. Unlike synthetic calcium carbonate or citrate found in pills, sardine bone powder is biologically recognizable. That means your body can absorb and use it without straining your kidneys or increasing your risk of calcification. Bonus, it also contains trace amounts of vitamin D, collagen peptides, and omega-3s, a combination that protects joints and supports the microstructure of your bones. Compared to standard calcium sources, calcium pills often require cofactors like K2, magnesium, or D3, and still pose a risk of arterial plaque buildup if used incorrectly. Milk and dairy can trigger inflammation, especially in lactose-sensitive adults, and often contain poor calcium to magnesium ratios. Leafy greens offer calcium, but as mentioned earlier, oxalates block absorption. Sardine bones, no oxalates, no additives, just bioavailable minerals in their natural ratios. What people get wrong? Most people discard the bones, or worse, avoid sardines altogether because they think they're too fishy or low class. That's a missed opportunity. Those soft, edible bones are nutritional gold, especially when dried and powdered. Sardine bone powder is even used in clinical settings in Japan for osteoporosis recovery, yet remains virtually unknown in Western diets. Another mistake, assuming bone strength comes from calcium alone. It doesn't. Phosphorus, magnesium, collagen, and trace minerals are all essential for strong, flexible bone, not just density. Sardine bone powder isn't just a calcium source. It's a full structural repair kit your bones actually understand. 7. Sacha inchai, the anti-aging seed your joints are begging for. It looks like a star, tastes like a nut, and works like a cellular reset button for aging bodies. Sacha inchai isn't trendy, it's transformational. Why it matters? Native to the Amazon rainforest, Sacha inchai seeds deliver one of the highest plant-based concentrations of omega-3 fatty acids, particularly alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a compound known to reduce chronic inflammation in both joints and muscles. But it doesn't stop at fats. These seeds also offer all 9 essential amino acids, including lysine and tryptophan, key for muscle synthesis and recovery. Polyphenols and antioxidants, which protect tissues from oxidative stress, a major driver of age-related stiffness. High-quality plant protein, in a form that's easier on digestion than most legumes or nuts. In short, Sacha inchai works both systemically and locally, calming internal inflammation while directly feeding muscle and connective tissue repair. How it compares? Chia and flax seeds also contain ALA, but Sacha inchai has significantly more per gram and includes complete protein, which neither of them do. Walnuts are omega-3 rich, but lack the amino acid density needed for muscle preservation. Fish oil delivers EPA, DHA, but no protein, and often comes with risks of oxidation and heavy metals unless third-party tested. Sacha Inchai covers all bases: fats, protein, antioxidants, all in one single whole food. Common myths and mistakes. Because it's lesser known, most people skip it. Some confuse it with just another nut or assume it's too exotic to be practical. Others make the mistake of overcooking it, which degrades the delicate omega-3s and strips away much of its anti-inflammatory power. One more trap: assuming omega-3 alone is enough. It's not. You need the right balance of protein, anti-inflammatories, and cofactors, and Sacha Inchai delivers all three. It's not just food. It's joint therapy, muscle fuel, and inflammation control rolled into one. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Eating healthy is not the same as eating smart. You can fill your plate with nutrient-rich foods. You can buy the superfoods, read the blogs, take the powders. But if you're not pairing things correctly, or worse, you're making subtle daily mistakes, you're leaving results on the table. Let's break it down. Muscle and bone don't rebuild from one nutrient, they rebuild from synergy. Protein alone, useless without zinc, vitamin C, and magnesium to convert it into functional tissue. Calcium, meaningless without vitamin K2 and D3 to direct it into bones. Omega-3s, powerful, but only when balanced with anti-inflammatory aminos and antioxidants. Each food you just learned about isn't powerful on its own because of one nutrient. It's powerful because of the nutrient clusters, how everything works together to rebuild tissue, lower inflammation, and restore functionality. What aging bodies need isn't just nutrition, it's coordination. Your body is losing efficiency. That's normal. Digestion slows, absorption drops, recovery lags. But when you combine complete protein, black lentils, Sacha Inchai, spirulina with key minerals, hemp, sardine bones, sesame, and inflammation control, spirulina natto, Sacha Inchai, your body finally gets a full repair signal. That's how people reverse sarcopenia, ease osteoarthritis, and restore stability after 60. The three silent killers of nutrient absorption. 1. Liquid sugars, juices, sweet smoothies, and sugary health drinks spike insulin and shut down mineral absorption pathways, especially magnesium and zinc. 2. Overmixing superfoods. Adding too many nutrient-dense items at once overloads the gut and reduces bioavailability. 3. Whole seeds, unsoaked legumes. When not prepped properly, they pass through your body without releasing their nutrients. It's like buying gold and never opening the vault. Bottom line, you don't need 20 supplements. You don't need a $300 meal plan. You just need 7 deeply functional, scientifically sound foods, used in the right combinations and in the right forms. These foods don't cure aging, but they do give your body the biochemical signal to fight back, to rebuild, realign, and restore. The science is there. The tools are simple. The next move is yours. Let's keep it real. You're not powerless. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's just waiting for the right fuel, the kind that works with your biology, not against it. Today, you've seen the 7 foods that go beyond calories or vitamins. These are rebuilding foods. Foods that talk to your cells, signal healing, reduce inflammation, strengthen muscle, reinforce your bones. And here's the part people overlook. This isn't a temporary fix. This is long-game nutrition, stuff that rewires your body over weeks, months, and years to come. So now you've got 2 options. Scroll on, keep doing what you've always done, hoping for better energy, better strength, better mobility. Or start making smart, strategic food upgrades that actually change how your body ages. If you got value out of this video, Smash that like button. It tells YouTube this content matters. Subscribe for more straight-up science and no-fluff solutions for better aging. Drop a comment. Which of these foods surprised you the most? What have you tried or plan to? Your body's ready. Are you? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. Stay mobile. Take care of your body, and it'll take care of you right back.